The first 5 minutes you heard, oh my God, every single language you could possibly imagine. You've been telling me about this for a long time. And when you first mentioned it, I just thought, oh my God. And I want to ask you what it's like to look at that stuff again now.
Incredible, very moving, especially now that Emilio Echeverria has left us, you know, to see Emilio's. So there's a moment that there's a take of Emilio in a cemetery just watching something. And in the film I use, 20 seconds here, but just to see the long takes, a reel of 4 minutes and him, and then his guys start crying. And the way the film suddenly started eroding is how we remember things. Like to make a film in Mexico was a miracle. Nobody has a career. If you make 1 or 2 films, you have to be going to church every Sunday to give thanks. So we were very lucky at that time.
My biggest cunning demand for the producers was, oh, do you mind writing in my contract, like I'm gonna get 2 VHS copies, please? Because I want to show it.
You're a hard bargainer.
I want to show it to my family.
So camera was locked in front of and the car coming like that. So then it's action, and he was driving the car. Okay, action, and nothing. Hey, come on, action! Anyway, I went to him. He was terrified. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know how to drive. The world is here, and these are here. And they couldn't understand what we were saying. They were, well, but this is the world cinema. As if we would belong to another...
See, but that's also with all the African films.
Exactly.
All the black films and the brown films.
We were together.
World cinema.
World cinema, the African film. And we were discussing in Toronto. I was so mad because they couldn't even understand what we were trying to say.
All the world films in Toronto like to see it way far away from everything.
I agree.
So, 25 years ago, a film that I saw not far from here called Amores Perros, which people had no idea what to expect. And literally at the first 5 minutes you heard, oh my God, in every single language you could possibly imagine. So please help me welcome for the 25th anniversary of Amores Perros, its star, Gael García Bernal.
Hey, thank you. Gracias.
And then, also, it's writer, director, I know I have it written down somewhere, Alejandro González Iñárritu.
Bravo.
Let me start with you, Gael. What was your first meeting with Alejandro like? What was the first conversation? Do you remember? You must.
Okay, specifically about the film because, we met in a commercial, no? That Alejandro directed.
Yeah.
But I think, but the first conversation we had about the film was on the telephone through my mother, no? Or somebody put us in contact. I was living in London at that point. I was in drama school, and my mother said, hey, Alejandro is looking for you. It was at the time when you had to be at the telephone at a precise time because they were gonna call and it's expensive, the phone call, and it was like, okay, I'll be here. Get the phone call, and he was like, yes. So and I listened to his very familiar voice. For those of you who are Mexican, maybe there's somebody here from Mexico, but we grew up listening to him in the radio. As a buenos días, ¿qué tal? WFM, no sé qué, 96.9. In the morning it was our that mellow voice, that velvety voice was there. So I listened to his voice and I was like, oh man, this is
a radio guy.
Yeah, it's the radio guy. I'm gonna ask him for a song. I'm gonna ask him can you put on this song? Can you put on yeah. And he was telling me all this, and this film, and it would be great if you do if I would do a tape, If I would do a tape on
audition
Super. No, what was the name of the?
High 8.
It was High 8. Yes. On the High 8 and send it to me and blah, blah. And I was, yeah, of course, with the school and everything, yes. So there's this film. Okay, perfect. We hung up. It was like a 10-minute conversation, or something. And then I received the script. Back then, the script was called Black Dog.
Perro Blanco, Perro Negro.
Sí, Perro Blanco, Perro.
Black Dog.
White Dog, Black Dog. And but the Costa
Rica, Black Cat, White Cat, it was a concise, and then that was the killer of our title. Yeah.
But just to picture and to frame a lot of the innocence that went into this and the fascination is that I open the envelope of the script, and I go and I see, okay, they sent me 3 scripts of different movies. Like I didn't know that I had never read a script before in my life, so I thought it was like 3 movies.
Well, it is.
No, but it's a whole movie. But
Yeah, but
you know,
3 different
I thought it
sections,
was like
yes.
3 movies, and I was like, okay, they must have made a mistake because I think
In which one I am?
He was calling me just for the one about, you know, he described me a little bit what the story was about, and I was reading it, and I was like, okay, they're gonna come together. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. You know, it was a very beautiful, innocent time of sending this tape, and later what happened. It was all the mechanism of how to get out of school, you know, and how to miss school, because I couldn't, you know, in drama school you can't work at the same time that you're studying in this drama school that I went to. And so we had to make up a crazy, back in the good old days of no internet. We made up a doctor's note.
Your uncle
did
an impossible diarrhea to contain, literally. Yeah. So it was a Moctezuma revenge, and they say, "Oh, poor Gael."
Yeah, I even got sent get well letters. You know, yes, from my schoolmates and everything. And then I arrived, which it helped because at the end of Amores Perros, I'm like with no hair and with a scar here and everything. And so when I got back to the drama school, they were all like, "Wow, that was
Mexican bacteria.
What the fuck? Yeah, you were really
Mexican
hurt."
parasites.
And I held it as a secret, as a complete and absolute secret. But then there was a point where it was like I was in the 3rd year of drama school, and I had to tell them, "There's this film that I have to go to Cannes, you know, to this festival. Yeah, it's a little film, you know. It's like you know, trying to play it down, you know, and you know, because he was like, yeah, I did it in the weekend, you know, like something to, and then it was impossible to hide the secret. But I think it was like 8 years after or 9 years after it came out that I finally told the truth of what happened. You know, I was not there, like before I was still...
You were still embarrassed.
Yeah, embarrassed and kind of like with my teachers and everything. It was, yeah.
Well, it is an embarrassing movie to be in, my God. What a shame that you did this thing. But as we're talking about this, because I've always wondered how long it took you to write it, because it is sort of broken up like that into these 3 sections. If you wrote one section first, or if you were going back and forth between them.
I think it took 3 years. Guillermo and I started working originally in 11 stories that were attached to a fire in Mexico, and it was this kind of short stories from Altman of Raymond Carver was something that has affected us. And but then we presented to the government. At that time in Mexico, there was not an international market, a production Mexican film. There was, in that time, for you to know it, there was 7 films maximum produced in Mexico at that time. And all of them were subsidized by the government. The same directors were the same. To become a photographer, you have to become a union member. To become a union member, somebody has to die. So it was a very,
Mexican bacteria could take care of that.
Exactly. It was a rough time. And we were rejected in that project, and then...
Did they tell you why they rejected it?
Because you were not... I remember I wanted to be a filmmaker. Pelayo Gutierrez, my first friend, it was a very a production company that was doing films of ficheras, was very successful, and I asked for a job at 19 years old, say, I can do whatever you want. And there was this producer that was called Abraham Cherem, whose line literally said, "Whoever doesn't have a family in film, you should look for yourself." You know, so it was a very tough environment in the film industry. There was no film industry. There was just these little cartels of people that were owning those little things. So Guillermo has this idea of do these 3 stories structurally that we start talking about it. He had a car accident that impacted his life, and a dog that became wild. I have one of my best friends, the father abandoned them, and then the dog actually went into the thing down the broken wood floor of that. They didn't have money to do it, and then the department started smelling, and then the dog was dead, and they had to broke everything. So we started to share all these kind of things, and it took 3 years, and Guillermo just submerged it, did an amazing work. But it was a 160-page long, 36 drafts that we spent how we can really passionately do something that really we will
36 drafts.
36 draft that was endless revisions, and we were just wanted to have, we shared the passion to have a solid thing because we knew that was a just opportunity. And in that time, Alejandro Soberon opened Altavista Film, that was the only production company financed independently. And they knew my work in the advertising. I have been working a lot with the same people, with Rodrigo Prieto, Brigitte Brock. They were my family that I created in the 90s, that I was doing commercials. And then I did a little 1-hour TV show pilot with Miguel Bosé and other actors. And they liked my work, they loved the script, and they bet on it. And it was $2 million that were like unheard. Like, you know, it was super, super high budget for us. And so it was kind of, to make a film in Mexico was a miracle. Nobody has a career. If you make 1 or 2 films, you have to be going to church every Sunday to give thanks. So we were very lucky at that time. And so that was the way. But anyway, it was a tough bet because the film was not easy. It was edgy, it was violent, it was difficult to put together. And we got lucky.
I'm going to ask you about how you guys shot that car, the car sequence that opens the film. How hard was that to do? Because it's terrifying to watch.
It was hard, but again, we were pulling from all the the experience, that you had with the shooting the commercials and but it was done through a lot of guts and heart. We were being pulled by the power plant. Remember? In some sequences, we were
the car chase. The car chase.
We were pulled by the power plant, which is something that nowadays, you couldn't do, of course, and you wouldn't do because the lights are different and everything. Yeah. But back then, it was the only way that you could put those things together, that you could shoot that. And it took a long, long time. But then the accident, man, that was amazing.
I think it was 2 things. First, I think I storyboard every action scene because it was a dog dying inside and everything was so. I prepared very well visually, so it was very, very rigorously storyboarded. But
there were a lot of shots in that.
A lot. But actually, the car chase, all the persecution was shot only in 2 days in La Condesa. Yeah. And handheld, jumping from one car to the other and all that thing. And obviously very, very rigorously to the storyboards because I didn't have time to really explore many things. So it was that. But then the day of the car crash was shot the same day that we shot. In the other side of the city, a bank assault of these guys when Gael brother, he died. So we did in the morning a bank assault that was a very complicated scene. And the same day, we went to the Condesa, to the other side of the city, to shoot at the end of the day the car crash with 9 cameras and only one car and one car there. And the funny thing was that the problem, nobody controlled a street in Mexico City. And basically there was like 100 people wanting to watch the shoot. And it was Juan Escutia, which is a big avenue. And we begged them to move. They didn't move. Then a taxi driver arrived and parked his car in the middle of the street. And we said, please, can you move? We're going to be a car crash. You, you have a camera. You don't impress. You don't own the city. Go yourselves. And he went, closed the door, and he went. And the song was coming down. Rodrigo and I putting the cameras, 9 cameras in the rooftop here, in the training thing, the cars crashed, they broke. The crew, Benito and all the guys, fixed the thing magically at the Mexican way. 10 minutes of light. The people didn't want to come out of that. And then we were about to shoot no matter what. And Alejandro Vasquez, which is the special effect guy, the car of Goya Toledo, basically the car of the model that was going there, it was a Maniquí with a motor automatic. And then basically the Galaxy will come and hit it, but he forgot to put a brake in the Sentra that was a Gole Sentra. And basically, before it comes, I remember The car was failing. Anyway, we have 3 minutes, and then when this car hit this car, the Sentra went like that at 100 kilometers per hour, and it passed literally centimeters away from kids and people. That didn't kill anybody by a miracle. And the only way that it stopped that car that was completely out of control
was the taxi.
It was the taxi. And it just broke the whole thing. And if you see the car, it's just insane. I'm gonna say something that is important. I was telling to Gael that something very beautiful that happened is that at that time I shot 1 million feet of material, which is enormous amount, even for any film in the world.
That's Heaven's Gate,
exactly. And the film that I edited with Luis Carballar is 2 hours, 34 minutes. That means that is 16,400 feet only. So 985,000 feet were, but the miracle is that we storage all those cans of material in the UNAM, in the University of Mexico, in the Cinematheque. So these cans has been there for 25 years, like a wine. And in 2019, when we were about to turn 20 years, and we were doing the restoration of Criterion, I had this idea of doing an installation. I have a beautiful experience with Carne y Arena as the installation that I did, and I said, I want to do another installation. And I start going into the material of the 35 millimeter celluloid, which in my point of view is like a placenta, like the kid is the baby, is the film. But that placenta is rich and feed all that. So I went into that, and it has been an incredible ride of 5 years, editing extracts and fragments of those pieces that is not a narrative film, it's just fragments that I will do an installation on September and October in Fundación Prada, and then in Los Angeles and in Mexico. That will provoke memories of people that you will see an old friend that you don't know, and it will be with projectors of 35 millimeters in a black rooms with different screens, and it will just come to I'm here to honor, and with Gael to honor the past of the film, but I want to talk about what the film is coming, that it will be a new experience. And we will re-release the film in September with this Criterion restoration around the world to make the kids see the film, not in telephones or in screens, but in that. So I'm very excited about, but rescuing this material and finding Gael when he was 20 years old and seeing all these master shots of 1 million feet that never make it, the outtakes, it's just a magical thing of rediscover a film in a new way to express itself, which for me is new, is something that I'm very impressed about. But very few films storage the placenta. And I was very lucky to discover, to have that,
No, well, you've been telling me about this for a long time. And when you first mentioned it, I just thought, oh my God. And I want to ask you what it's like to look at that stuff again now.
Incredible, very moving, especially now that Emilio Echeverria has left us, to see Emilio's. So there's a moment that there's a take of Emilio in a cemetery just watching something. And in the film I use, 20 seconds here, but just to see the long takes, a reel of 4 minutes and him, and then his guys start crying. And the way the film suddenly started eroding, it's how we remember things, like fireflies that just illuminate a little bit and then goes. It's very beautiful, it's very poetical, and it's just another way to speak about all those moments. And see Mexico City in the 2000, and the people. There's something very eerie in a beautiful way, Anyway,
it's funny because you're saying that. I mean, that Mexico City that you guys shot in doesn't exist anymore.
No, it's different.
No, it's gone. We thought that we will have a good government. We didn't. In 2000, the party went down, and there was excitement in that time. And when Amores Perros came, there was a rediscovery of So I think the people felt ownership of something that represents us in a way that was not the cliché, cartel, drug, shit like that, but there was just the interaction of the complexity and disparities and paradoxical realities of this anthropological experiment that is Mexico.
Well, speaking of anthropological experiment, your role, I mean, this is a really demanding piece of material to get as your first thing in the movies. Were you terrified?
I had no idea. Really, I had no. I mean, I used to. I was a film lover. No, I used to go to the cinema a lot, but because of what Alejandro is saying, there wasn't even a chance of making a film. You know, like it was something so far away. That's why whenever I don't know, meeting new actors that are younger, you know, I ask them, like, I'm really interested in wanting to know why they wanted to become actors and stuff. And film became something in the best way, like more democratic in a way. It was more easy to attain and to be able to do it. But for me, it was complete, an absolute, not even, it wasn't in my parameters of what I thought I was going to be able to do, because films were just not done. And the films that were done were not seen as well. My biggest sort of, how do you say, like, like cunning demand for the producers was, I remember when we finished the last day with Marta Sosa, I told her, oh, do you mind writing in my contract, like, I'm going to get 2 VHS copies, you know, please? Because I want to show it.
You're a hard bargainer.
I want to show it to my family, yeah. And they were like, oh, 2, okay, fine. Yeah, so.
I'm really moved by that, because I remember that, and he was right. It was probably the film will never be shown. Yeah. And then the only thing he will have as a memory for his friends or for his grandchildren, I did a movie in a VHS. But that is true. In Mexico, nobody has a career. And I was talking too that at that time, I remember Alfonso Cuarón and I always discussing with the festival with directors like Toronto. I think that always at that time, Mexico, there was no international market. We were not part of the international community of dialogue of cinema. And always the Latin American cinema was in a ghetto, and they were calling always world cinema. So always the main competitions were Danish films, American, English, French, whatever. But the Latin American were the world cinema. I said, but they are not part of the world. It's like the world is here, and these are here. And they couldn't understand what we were saying. They were, well, but this is the world cinema, as if we would belong to another.
See, but that's also with all the African films.
Exactly.
All the black films and the brown films.
We were together.
World cinema.
World cinema, the African film. And we were discussing in Toronto. I was so mad because they couldn't even understand what we were trying to say.
All the world films in Toronto like to theater way far away from everything.
I agree. I agree, but what I'm saying is that was the reality, and that's why when we came here, we came in the Semana de la Crítica, which was, it is still a great fucking thing, because great directors has been discovered there, by the way, but it's the back door. And we were not even accepted in the main competition. Even the people didn't saw it, because the guy who was selecting the film said, no, this is a violent, long film, and I will not expose the people that select films to this film. We were part of it is for the world cinema, not for main competition. And Jose Maria Riva, who was a journalist, a critic, and a friend, he discovered the film and invited us. And my mom told me, you just go to the parties that you are invited, not to the ones that you are not invited. So we went to the party that we were invited. It was a small party, and we didn't know what it was. It was 1 o'clock in the Miramar. People arrived, the people left. And I was talking that I went to a lunch with Bernardo Bertolucci, that was the president of the Semana de la Crit at that time, and invited the 7 directors in competition to have lunch the same day that we were presenting Amores Perros, which half of the screen went out in the middle of the thing. And I was so depressed walking in the Croisette, smoking 1 pack of cigarettes. I arrived to the lunch with Bernardo and the other guys, and hey, how it went? And I said, it's unbearable to present your film. This is not sustainable. This is the worst experience I have had in my life. How you did it. How envy I am for you to be the maestro Bertolucci and don't have those fears anymore. This is horrendous. This is the worst experience. It's like a kid waiting for the teacher to qualify me, and everybody went out. And then he looked at me, he's finished his martini, and he said, Alejandro, I have the bad news for you. I said, what? He said, after your first film, everything gets worse. And I said, come on. Bernardo was presenting in that year, Novecento, his film that was shot in 1975, in Cannes Classics. And I couldn't understand how somebody can go and see his film 25 years later, how that must feel. Now I'm here, sitting, gonna watch my film tonight after 25 years that I have not seen it. And he was right. Every film got even worse, and it's you know, your own expectations, the expectations of the people. It's a tough one. It's like a torero, like a bullfighter in the plaza, and you said, "Fuck, how the bull will come," and you just have your little red thing saying, "Okay, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna say bullshit, but the bull can kill me."
Yes, they don't care about bullshit. They step in it all the time. I have to ask you this: what was he like as a director? Your first day shooting. What's the first scene you shot?
Okay. The first scene, definitely it was at the house.
I know one.
At the house, no?
Yeah.
And
when you arrive in the kitchen.
exactly, the breakfast. Yes.
okay.
Yes, I remember, yes. So the breakfast scene where is the first time that Octavio kind of challenges the brother.
Maria.
And the interaction with the mother, who is played by Adriana Barraza, and the wife of Marcos' character, that is Susana, that is played by Vanessa Bauche. And so it is that arrival and having breakfast and eating these eggs, no? And I mean, it was at a time where I remember there were many limitations, no? One of them was, and I think you told us this, that for each take we only have 2 takes per frame, per setup, no, because we could run out of material of film.
Oh my gosh! You had to be that careful because you would run out of film stock.
In the beginning, but then I didn't care, and then I shot one.
You shot million for your film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were doing so bad that I have to do many takes. Okay, not 2. Let's do 17. Okay.
But it's crazy, man, that it was like there was this kind of. Because I remember there were a couple of days that we stopped shooting because we ran out of material. Remember?
Yeah, but then I didn't have any fee as a director, and then I have to put money to get the material done because everything was running out, and I couldn't pass that thing. So yeah, I mean, it was a moment that we had to get material to shoot, and it was a difficult one because it was handheld. It was.
And also, even in that kitchen scene, there were a lot of camera setups. I mean,
yeah, but it was only one camera, and I have to say that Rodrigo Prieto was always operating the camera.
Yes, amazing.
But it was here,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of
setups. Yeah.
Yeah, I always have casabetes in my mind.
But it was crazy that most of the people that were there, we hadn't ever done a film before.
But we rehearsed a lot.
Most of the people were new to this, you know, and there were a couple that were more experimented, no, like the sound, the sound mixer, and Rodrigo had done another couple of films, no, but that was it. It was like, and Brigitte Brock, no, of course, but that was like the vast experience. The rest we were like. I remember Vanessa Bauche had done 10 films or something, exactly. And she was one of the most veterans, you know. It's crazy. Like we were all in this joy, and I arrived, and I really didn't. Okay, and this might sound like crazy science fiction, but it was true. I didn't ask anybody if action meant action of the character or action of the scene starts. And because I knew I wasn't sure. I was a bit shy of asking, like. And I remember there was like I would follow Vanessa, who was our, you know, she was the most experienced actress in the that I played with, and she told me, no, action is when the scene starts. Like that's when you go, okay. So when they say action, okay, perfect, okay, and action the first time. So it was.
I remember once we were discussing about the character because I did a commercial with Gael like 4 years before. A little thing that he was silent in a room of the radio station that I was doing. I did a very nice campaign of very abstract commercials that win a lot of awards, but Gael was in one of them, sitting in a room very similar to his room in the film. Yeah. He was just sitting like that and has to be crying. And then the camera at the end just do a zoom to the wall with the WFM. It was a kind of weird campaign. But I saw him, and I said to Rodrigo Prieto, I shot that campaign with Rodrigo Prieto, and I said, look at the face of this guy. I said, he has purple eyes, like Elizabeth Taylor. He said, you are crazy? Are you in love with him? No, I'm not in love with him. It's just he fucking has a wolf face with purple eyes. That was my fixation. I said, when I do a film, I would like to do a film with this kid. 3 years later, when Guillermo and I finished the thing, then I called him, and then he told the story about that. And I remember one thing that you asked me, that you proposed me when you were talking to me in the phone. Said, Alejandro, you think that Octavio maybe should he play tennis or something like that? And I said, play tennis?
Climbing.
Can you know, play tennis? I said, no, in that neighborhood, they don't play fucking tennis. Tennis is for the bourgeois. I mean, it was funny that it was that. But then there was another, for example, Parra, Salvador Parra. Basically, he has never done a film, and he was very thin. And he has to be a dog fighter enemy of him, and he has phobia to the dogs. He was terrified of the dogs. But I saw his eyes. I always said that the actor's instrument is eyes and voice, and that never lie. And I knew that the guy has that. And so I asked him, okay, start training. And then the animal guy, Larry Casanova, started training with him. He became like that. He became the guy that, you know, these dogs were very, very dangerous, and he was doing it by himself. And he overcome all of that, and he has never acted. But then there was a moment that was very funny, that we were shooting a moment that he was arriving with his car to Gael's house, to the character, to threaten him, and said, you know, he has just killed the thing. So camera was locked in front of and the car coming like that. So then it's action, and he was he was driving the car. Okay, action, and nothing. Hey, come on, action! Anyway, I went to him. He was terrified. I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know how to drive." He confessed that he was being terrified of the dogs. He overcome, but he was so embarrassed to say, "I don't know how to drive." And in Mexico, not to drive, you are dead. So the guy was, you know, I said, don't worry. So then the camera were holding there, and all the crew with this heavy, everybody pushing. So you see the frame, and you see this guy like, then he come out like, I'm gonna kill you. But all the guys were in the thing, and it was so funny to see that.
And I had to be
scene.
threatened by that.
It was beautiful, guys.
You know, because he came to tell me that, and I had to be threatened, and I saw all the guys pushing him. I was like, man, this was like, yes, this is acting. This is acting. But it was very funny, like, I don't know how to drive. No, what are you talking?
So you didn't tell him what action meant. The graphic didn't tell you he couldn't drive. This was a big communications problem on this movie. But I think what's so funny about this movie is that basically you're saying you liked him without hearing him speak. His voice is so distinctive. Not only that, but his speaking rhythms are really distinctive too. So when we first heard him speak, because he doesn't sound like anybody else in the movie.
You know, the boys, you know, the most sophisticated technique now in the world to detect lies is Israeli thing that they even in the phone, they can detect if you are lying by the voice. Mm-hmm. So the voice, the vibration of the voice is literally impossible to hide anything. Another example of this is Emilio Echeverria. When I met Emilio Echeverria, that he has left us like 1 year ago, the character of Chivo, basically I saw a play directed by Jimenez Cacho that was called The Losers, and he was playing this character jumping into a kind of a billboard. He was drawing a billboard, giving the back to the audiences with a little 9-year-old kid, and it was a story about both of them, a super moving story, but both of them were giving the back to the audience. And it was just the conversation between them, and he was just painting this thing. And it was incredibly moving. And when I went out, I said, wow, this is the best back performance I have seen in my life. I never saw it. But the voice of Emilio was so incredible that he was one of the best actors I have worked in my life. And it was just the voice that doesn't lie. So I think when they say how you choose actors is more than the physicality, is the implicit thing that has to be in the emotional baggage. But the eyes and that, I can see that. If you commit a mistake in that area, it's a death sentence to any film, no matter how great the script is, no matter how great images. There's something that if somebody intrinsically has to own that, and you commit a mistake, it's not the fault of the actor. It's the fault of the director. So I was very careful choosing all the characters in the film. That was for me the most important thing. And that I learned from Ludwig Margulis, which I studied theater, that he told me that. He said that it's not about how good that actor is. A good actor can be great, but maybe it's wrong for that character. So that was and I didn't mind if the actor was actor professionally or not. It was implicitly he was that person that I was looking, and then the other thing you can develop. But that's more important than anything else.
So I always thought that you cast him because of that voice. Because that voice is so distinctive.
In this case, was not his voice, was his eyes.
Yes, I know, but yeah.
And his smile. No,
Exactly, yes.
no, I just knew that he represented a lot of things, and you can see in the eyes of somebody too the depth or something. You know what I mean? There's something very. I don't know what you think. You are an actor. I'm not. But the way I perceive it is that in the eyes and in the voice, you can immediately see a lot of. It's like an instrument, like a violin. The sound of it. There's a depth of an instrument when it's good that you can feel it. And then, but is that how you are made? The material of that is the eyes and the voice of somebody. That is crucial, at least for me.
So when you finally saw the film for the first time after shooting 1 million feet of it. What was your reaction to it?
Well, I saw it for the first time here in the Spas Miramar at 1 p.m. You know, when you were going out from the screening, I stayed. We all stayed because we hadn't seen it. No, me and Emilio Echeverria, no, a lot of the people that were here for the film, we hadn't seen it put together, and I think I had one of the most transcendental experiences in my life. Because it was the first time that I finally confirmed, in a way that the film is done, because there was still the doubt of if this film is ever going to be finished, because really films didn't get made. So it was like until it comes, until we show it, until we see it. So it was that, I was completely grabbed by the movie. I saw the film. I didn't experience my work or everyone else's work. I enjoyed the movie. I was like moved by the movie completely. We were all completely in tears. And I must say that that day I woke up being myself, and the next day I woke up as well being myself. But that midday screening, something happened around that changed my life and everybody's life. That day, that screen, like we came in with the world being one way towards us, and then when we came out, the world changed towards us. There was a different perception. There was something exciting. All of a sudden, now I can say it with all, with facts. We are 25 years after, and you can see my 19-year-old me. That has a life of its own, a life that I don't control at all. It is a metaphysical experience, and to have that very young, it was very. I was completely, grateful and emotional and loving and thinking this is the best. This is great, But didn't know what came after, because afterwards many things happened. We were starting to be called to work in cinema. All of a sudden, we started to have a career in cinema, or to have a.
And then you also started to have a Mexican cinema. That was really one of the catalysts.
And Latin American, I would amplify the spectrum as well, because for every Latin American, when they saw the film, it was like, it was there was a very very immediate connection. I don't know. There is something magical, and it is. Great that this film really, like nowadays, with everything being so fast and everything being so ephemeral, and everything, all of a sudden, I don't know, there's this film that still has a life of its own. My kids saw it for the first time recently. And they were, because they saw it because some kids, their kids in school started to see it.
I thought they showed your VHS.
And they exactly, that would be, no, and the kids, their friends told them, man, your dad did, it's in this movie, amazing. And they go, yeah, I know about this movie, but I haven't seen it. So they saw it on their own, and my son told me, Dad, it's the best film.
Finally, they respect
What a great film. So, yeah. And it's crazy that it became a film now, that at least in Latin America, but I would say that in many places in the world, but in Latin America, in your passage to adulthood, it has become a must. Like there's a point when you're 15, 16 that is like, now it's time to see Amores Perros. You saw Clockwork Orange, now it's time to see Amores Perros. You know, it's like that type of, it became
A classic.
A classic that you have to see at a certain point of in your life. No?
I think there's no better way to end this than with that. Let's thank these guys for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elvis.